Welcome to Vsb News Online for Monday, August 10th. I'm Peter Kitzel. Our own camera operator and resident diver, Adrian Smat, took to the waters again this weekend to partake and report on something incredible, the beginning of Bermuda.
I've reported on this before, but I'm going to report on it again. The regiment is reaching new heights, or rather new depths, with their new task force calling themselves Brute Force, or the Bermuda Regiment Underwater Task Force. This past Saturday, as a part of their 50 wreck dives in 50 days initiative, over a dozen regiment divers took to the waters off Fort St. Catherine to help in a preservation effort of Bermuda's most famous wreck, the Sea Venture. The gravity of what I was swimming over was not lost on me. That 400-year-old wreck was the reason I was even swimming over it in the first place. Had the wreck not happened, Bermuda might not be what it is today. Now, while there may not be much to witness, and there is even less to see now as sandbags cover it, it is an incredible feat to say I was there when the Sea Venture was being protected. I have a huge sense of honor, and I didn't even lift a sandbag. The regiment divers were all thoroughly proud to be able to say that they not only dove that wreck, but helped to keep it there. Sergeant Giovanni Lima said he felt an amazing sense of pride just touching the 400-year-old timbers and knowing that we are protecting a vital part of Bermuda's heritage. The regiment divers weren't the only people there on Saturday either. The commanding officer of the regiment, Lieutenant Michael Foster Brown, and the governor, George Ferguson, not only made an appearance, but even took some time to fill up a few specially imported jute sandbags to help protect the wreck. And while the two are not scuba certified, they donned their own masks, snorkels, and fins to inspect the work orchestrated by Dr. Philippe Rouja and the remains of the vessel. To sum up the signature event of the 50 wreck dives in 50 days initiative, I think the governor said it best. It's extraordinary to be so close to something so symbolic to Bermuda, in the flag and in the crest. There aren't many places whose history starts with a single boat. With that being said, I have to thank the regiment for the opportunity to dive my heritage. For VSB News, I'm Adrian Smat.
In an unusual form of daylight robbery, a man was accosted on Reed Street at 3:45 p.m. on Saturday by two youths demanding money, and then escorted under duress to HSBC Bank of Bermuda nearby and compelled to withdraw an undisclosed amount of money from the outside ATM machine. The suspects were described as brown-skinned, between 18 and 22, and wearing red shirts or hoodies. One was riding a red Yamaha motorcycle. Anyone with information should call CID at 247-1252. The Planning Minister's ruling that the South Basin Land Reclamation and Development could go ahead, despite the planning inspector's tacit support of BEST's strong concerns, is about to be tested in the courts. The group's president, Stuart Hayward, also hopes the appeal will address the inspector's conclusion that nothing could be done anyhow, since Parliament had decided in favor of the scheme a year ago.
What are the impacts going to be? How extensive are they? How can they be mitigated? How can they be reduced or eliminated?
Traffic, car parking?
Sure. Now, I understand that maybe ACBDA doesn't yet know, they don't yet know what the impact is going to be. They don't know the extent of the development. But it needs to be acknowledged that this part of the development needs an environmental impact assessment. What happened is that all three parts of the application were given final approval. It boggles the mind how you give final approval on something that you don't know what you're approving.
Especially when the promise was made of consultation.
The promise was made by the minister, made by the chairman of WEDCO, of course. And, you know, that comes back to the end uses. They've decided that the end uses should be a marina, a commercial boat yard, and a consolidation of marine and ports. Well, at the end of 2 years, we might find out that we have even more pressing needs. And why not? Why shouldn't we be considering a cultural center, a convention center, a training program for youth for cricket and football? I mean, there are so many community-based needs that it appears to us have not been included in their thinking about what the end uses of this area was going to be. So there are there's lots of unfinished business, and part of the responsibility we've taken on is to try and make sure that these things are done right.
I think your phrase was industrial wasteland.
Yes, and that's a bit prejudicial. But, it doesn't need to be an industrial wasteland. It could, because industrial activity in that area could affect nearby fish nursery areas, protected species areas. But the end uses should be those that are most useful to Bermuda as a whole, not just to the narrow interests of WEDCO in Dockyard.
With the amount of money that's being spent.
Yes. And, we're not trying to interfere with the America's Cup event itself. That is going to happen as far as we can tell. What we want to do is to make sure that our standards are not compromised. How can we ask guests to uphold our rules if we don't do that ourselves?
The gunpowder plot of 1775 might well have been the genesis of the good relationship Bermuda now enjoys with the United States. This according to author Michael Marsh, who has written a 134-page tome about the theft and conspiracy in St. George's. He shares with Charles Webb some tidbits on Bermuda, the American Revolution, and the gunpowder theft.
Well, there's no question that from the American point of view, it helped the friendship build stronger between America and Bermuda, and it's become stronger since then, and we're very lucky to have as neighbors such strong and influential and friendly people. They were immensely helpful to Bermuda as a result of them obtaining the gunpowder which was stolen by a band of Bermudians behind the back of the governor at the time. So Bermuda has benefited indirectly from the theft in 1775 on the early morning of August the 15th.
There are other books on the plot, aren't there? What motivated you to write this one?
Well, I wrote it for fun, and I've always been interested in Bermuda's history, as I think every child in Bermuda should be, and every Bermudian should be. And in this book's case, I think every child should read it. I think every American who's interested in the American Revolution would be interested as well, because I've covered Bermuda, the American Revolution, and the gunpowder theft in the book. A lot of technical points I have put in the book, which helps a reader to understand it more easily in a chronological form. I've tried to break it into 5 chapters with subheadings and easy chronological story to follow.
How does your book differ from the other books on the plot?
Well, very greatly, immensely. It's almost revolutionary because there were many different versions of this story, and many myths and many misunderstandings, and it worried me when I read this part of history. There were many unanswered questions. So I've done my best to answer all the questions using logic, local knowledge. For example, it was claimed that the barrels were rolled down the hill to Tobacco Bay. And if anybody knows anything about gunpowder, which is saltpeter, 75% of gunpowder, it's very explosive, black gunpowder. And nobody in his right mind would have rolled gunpowder down a hill, especially a rocky, bumpy hill as we've got in St. George's.
Tomorrow, the author talks about the ineptitude of the governor of the day and Bermudians who could not see eye to eye with His Majesty's representative in Bermuda. The dates for the 2017 America's Cup in Bermuda have been released, and there are some surprises, not the least being a 5-day break in the middle of the finals. Our sports editor, Earl Baisden, has the details.
A tentative program has been released for the 2017 event that takes in May and June racing on a tight course in the Great Sound, the feature of the significant gap in the actual final between Oracle Team USA and the yet-to-be-determined challenger. The finals format sees 7 wins required to claim the Aug. They will contest the first 4 races on Saturday and Sunday, June 17th and 18th, but organizers have opted to then put the final on hold until the following weekend, with the teams given 5 days to make adjustments. 2 races are planned for Saturday, June 24th, and 2 more on Sunday if required. The schedule has 2 races penciled in for the following Monday and 3 races for Tuesday, June 17th, if the full quota of the 13 races are needed to find a champion. At the last America's Cup final in San Francisco in 2013, a full schedule was needed for Oracle to retain the trophy 9-8 in a remarkable comeback against Team New Zealand. The Louis Vuitton qualifiers in Bermuda will be a round-robin series featuring 30 races over 2 rounds from May 26th to June 5th, with just 1 day's break in the middle. The Louis Vuitton Challenge playoff features the top 4 teams run from June 7th through 9th, and the Louis Vuitton Challenger final is a first-to-5 affair scheduled for June 10th through to the 12th. I'm Earl Baisden reporting for VSB News.
And we'll be back with more news right after this.
The Marketplace Food Court is you and your family's one-stop shop. Start your day at the Breakfast Bar with omelets made to order and traditional Bermuda codfish breakfast. The chefs will cook lunch and dinner to your liking. Along with the salad bar, sandwich bar, sushi bar, and fruit bar, the Marketplace Food Court is your kitchen away from home. Every day is hassle-free with nutritious meals from the Marketplace Food Court. Visit us 7 days a week. Homemade cooking, quality service, all at prices you can count on.
Premier Michael Dunkley has provided a welcome financial break for Bermuda's cash-strapped charities. In his role as Minister of National Security, he has decreed that Bermuda's charities will no longer be charged a fee to get police background checks on their volunteers. Chris Lodge has more.
The Premier was responding to concerns raised by charities about the impact of the $100 fee for criminal record checks on each volunteer. Those fees coming with the Charities Act of 2014, requiring charities to vet their volunteers, as well as higher government fees passed in 2011. The Ministry of Legal Affairs, in discussion with the Bermuda Police Service, has concluded that the fees could be waived. The Center on Philanthropy had said the fees could cost some organizations as much as $10,000. Mr. Dunkley saying last night, "This clears the air. I'm glad of it. There will be no charge for police background checks on people who volunteer to work for charities, and as a result, fees for the vetting of their volunteers will now be waived." I'm Chris Lodge, VSB News.
With the prestigious $15,000 Catherine Zeta-Jones Scholarship in honor of Patricia Calnan tucked in his belt and enrolled at the world-famous Tisch School of the Arts at New York University, 19-year-old Marcus Smith is following his dreams. And there are many, as he tells Charles Webb.
Well, the original dream was Broadway, but once I got to NYU, I just realized there's so much more out there. There's so much different types of theater, and there's so much going on. And you just don't really know where your path's going to take you. So I thought, okay, yeah, Broadway, but then there's like experimental theater and immersive theater, which I'm really into right now, which is when they involve the audience and kind of like the production itself. So that's been super fun. So I don't know, not sure yet, but I'm down to see exactly where it ends up.
Now, I said that acting is the easiest way to go hungry and stay hungry.
Yes.
Where do you see yourself, say, 5 years from now?
5 years from now, hopefully I'll be on a stage doing something. I imagine I'll come back to Bermuda at some point, but I want to make sure that I kind of establish a career first. In like the performing arts, is better to like have a career and have like a background in your field before coming right back to teach, because it's really easy to say, okay, well, here's what you have to do to get there, but it's different to have been there and then decide, okay, now here's the necessary steps I took, and here's a whole bunch of options as to how my friends got there and all the people that I work with, and then coming back and saying, okay, here's how I can help you now.
I'm curious to know your parents' response when you told them you want to be an actor.
Oh, my family, my parents at first, they were a little skeptical, because in Bermuda, like, performing arts is a hobby and not so much a career. And because you don't see many people having it as a career here, it's really hard as a parent to be like, just go and do it, But my parents, every time I've gone on stage, they've just seen me light up, and, it's where my heart is. So they just saw that, we can't keep you away from your passion. They tried to show me like as many different avenues as they could. And then eventually it got to a point where they realized, you know what? This is your thing, Like, as much as we want to try and push you into different directions, like, they gave me a whole bunch of different options, and NYU and acting just came out on top.
What advice would you give to another young person looking at the theater the way you are?
My advice would be stay true and do you. It's that simple, When it comes to the arts, you can't go in trying to be someone else or trying to do something else. You have to go in and decide, okay, this is who I am. Or if you're going to discover yourself, discover who you are. Don't try and do what this person's doing or what this person's doing, because everyone's journey's different. And that's how I've become who I am, is that I've just been happy, and like, I've learned from my parents, and I've just stuck true to who I am as a person.
The search for a squad of 18 of the best sailors and athletes that can be found to form Team Bermuda in the Youth America's Cup is off to a great start. 50 of the 78 young people who have expressed an interest in being considered turned out at Dockyard on Saturday morning to be put through a grueling fitness test. Once the remaining 28 have been processed in the same way, the selection committee hopes to identify 18 for the intensive training and coaching required to have them sail the one-design foiling AC-45 catamaran that will be used in June 2017. And now we turn to Earl Baisden with the latest from the Sports Desk.
Team Bermuda took part in the Parapan Games opening ceremony on Friday evening in Toronto, Canada. Bermuda's two Buckeye athletes began taking part in the games. In the individual Buckeye 4 preliminary first round, Steve Wilson went down 10-0 to Canadian Allison Levine. Wilson went down in his second preliminary round match 11-2 against Dicari Pinto from Brazil. Yushei de Silva Andrade joined the games in the individual B2 preliminary second round. She went down 7-1 to Lucas Ferreira de Araújo from Brazil. Matthew Oliveira captured 2 silver medals in the pre-junior division for the boys 15-16 age group at the Junior Caribbean Cycling Championships. Oliveira captured his first silver medal in the individual time trial, and then yesterday he captured the second one in the road race. Caden Hopkins and Dylan Hill worked hard during the road race. Despite not finishing, they did a great job in helping Oliveira. Tristan Naraway and Cassandra McPhee fought to stay with the female 15-18 age group and finished just off the back, but a huge effort was put in by both. Daniel Oakley recorded a top 10 finish in the junior male 17-18 division. Rebecca Halliger was in the pool for the second time in the FINA World Aquatics Championships in Russia. Competing in the women's 50-meter freestyle, Halliger finished 6th in Heat 7, touching the wall in a time of 26:90, which saw her finish 57th overall. The 2015 NACAC Senior Track and Field Championships took place over the weekend, where Trey Houston competed in the men's 100-meter dash preliminaries, Heat 3, where he finished 5th, missing out on a quarterfinal spot. Houston clocked a personal best time of 10:47, finishing 19th overall. Houston was back in action, competing in the men's 200-meter dash. Houston competed in Heat 2, finished 4th, crossing the line in the time of 21:26, which saw him finish 19th overall, but advanced to the semifinals. Running in Heat 2 of the men's 200-meter semifinals, Houston finished 6th, crossing the line in the time of 21:72, which saw him finish 19th overall. Janai Parenti finished tied 5th, competing in the men's high jump with a top leap of 2.15 meters. Aaron Evans advanced to the men's 800-meter final after he finished 2nd in Heat 2 of the preliminaries, clocking a time of 1:50.85. Evans clocked 1:49.07 on his way to finishing 7th in the final. He went through the first 400 meters in a time of 51:50. The Bermuda Under-15 boys national team concluded competing in the Mexico Five Nations tournament in Mexico City. Bermuda finished with a record of 0 wins and 4 losses. Bermuda scored 2 goals in their 4 games and conceded 22. Bermuda faced off against Panama, Mexico, Canada, and Qatar. The 2015 Around the Island Powerboat race had a shaky start as there was a delay when a racer was taken to the hospital before the race with a medical condition. Stephen Eversley and his co-pilot Brendan Frank steered number 1 suspect to a first-place finish in the D class, and they were the first boat to cross the line. The pair had this to say following the race.
Yesterday I had a good look at the weather. It wasn't in our favor, but when I woke up this morning and I saw that the weather makeup, I said, yeah, it's our turn. It's our turn. And when we went out there, we saw it was choppy. We just kept going forward and keep it moving. That's all. And I woke up this morning, I went around the island 6 o'clock this morning. And I thought it was going to be a bad day for me because I ran out of gas. I was so sure. I didn't even tell my co-pilot about it. We ran out of gas and I thought that was the start of a bad day, but we done good, man. We done
Willocots retained the Western County Trophy on Saturday following their 173-run victory over Somerset Bridge. At the Southampton Oval, Somerset Bridge won the toss and sent cup holders Willocots to bat. They scored 267 all out with Deontay Darrell, the top scorer, on 85. Jermaine Salam was the pick of the Somerset Bridge bowlers with figures of 8.5 overs, 3 for 54. In reply, Somerset Bridge were bowled out for 94. Janoy Bean was their top scorer with 27. Azar Morrissey picked up 2 wickets from 4 balls for Willocots. In Premier Division action yesterday at Southampton Oval, Southampton Rangers defeated Bailey's Bay by 12 runs. Southampton Rangers were bowled out for 88 and then bowled Bailey's Bay out for 76. St. David's Cricket Club defeated Cleveland County by 75 runs at the Wellington Oval. St. David's Cricket Club scored 211 for 2 in their allotted 30 overs and then restricted Cleveland County to 136 for 6. Willocots won by 31 runs against the Somerset Cricket Club up at the Somerset Cricket Club. Willocots scored 302 and then bowled Somerset Cricket Club all out for 271. In First Division play, St. George's Cricket Club won by 4 wickets over Devonshire Recreation Club. Devonshire Recreation Club were bowled out for 151 at the Devonshire Rec, and St. George's scored 152 for 6. Western Stars won by 4 wickets in their match against Somerset Bridge at St. John's Field. Somerset Bridge scored 146 for 5, and Western Stars scored 147 for 6. The 2015 Bermuda Fitted Dinghy racing season continued with 3 races in Grenaway Deep yesterday. Contest 3 won the Royal Hamilton Amateur Dinghy Club Cup race, which was the first of the day, while Elizabeth II won the Whitney Cup race. Challenger 2 was the only boat to finish the Trot Cup race, the final one of the day. Kristen Johnson and Susie Lacey are the inaugural Conyersdale and Pearman squash male and female champions as a tournament wind down on Saturday evening at the Bermuda Squash Rackets Association Club. Johnson defeated Patrick Foster in the men's A final 3-2. Lacey got the better of Christina Scoba 3-0. I'm Earl Baston reporting for VSB Sports.
Looking at the weather for Tuesday, August 11th, there will be sunny periods with a few showers and a chance of thunder. Winds will be south-southwesterly, light to moderate, increasing to moderate at times, with strong gusts and showers. We are expecting a high near 86 Fahrenheit and a low near 76 Fahrenheit. This weather report is courtesy of the Bermuda Weather Service. Thank you for watching Vsb News Online for Monday, August 10th. I'm Peter Kitzel.